I can't explain it. There was something in the air that night. There was just something in the air that night.
It was like you were bursting and ready to release this new act onto the world.
I'm telling you, Colm, I felt like a loaded gun. I was so, wound up and ready to go, but finally, this was my chance.
This was the moment Irish dancer Michael Flatley's life changed forever. He was performing live in front of 200 million people during the Eurovision Song Contest. Showcasing a style of Irish dancing the world had never seen before. And it made Michael Flatley a global superstar. Going on to create shows like Lord of the Dance, his performances have been seen by more than 65 million people worldwide, and he has toured over 60 countries. And at one point, he became one of the highest earning performers in the world. And in this one-on-one interview, Michael tells me about how he always followed his dream, even when others didn't believe in him.
My best friends, my family, even my parents, as the years went by, kept saying to me, Michael, it's time to
give up on this dream.
It's time to realize the truth of where we are in life.
And how he believes this gift is from God. But you're talking about it, Michael, as if it was a spiritual calling, almost.
Well, it is. Why did he put that there, Colm? Of course it is. It's in my heart. I didn't put it there. It comes directly from God.
We talk about that night at the Eurovision Song Contest, when people pleaded with him not to be different. Is it true that just before you went and stood out on stage, someone said, Michael, please keep the hands by the side?
Proudest word of my life is I said no.
We talk about one of the hardest parts of his career, when he was dropped by Riverdance.
I got fired the night before and the posters come down. I don't mind telling you, I went down to France and I went on a bit of a bender.
But went on to make an incredible comeback with his own show.
I enjoyed every second. I enjoyed every glass of wine, every race in the car, every seat on the private jet. I looked around and said, yes, yes, yes. I never gave in.
When you're born to do something and you do it, you're truly alive.
Cameras flashing. You'll have 3 photographers on the front here.
5, 6, 7, cut!
And Michael opens up about his recent cancer diagnosis and how it made him realize the important things in life.
I surrender my day to the Lord. You can't say, oh, accept this one. If you believe and you have faith, you have to have ultimate faith.
You take the good and you take the bad as well.
Damn straight.
All part of living. This is Heart and Soul from the BBC World Service. I'm Colm Flynn and I've come to the small city-state of Monaco in the south of France to meet Michael Flatley. Michael Flatley, it's a pleasure to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Colm. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for taking the time.
And we're sitting here in beautiful Monaco. Is this home now for you?
Yes, it is. I love Monaco. I live between Monaco and Ireland. We have our main estate is in Cork, but we're also looking now for a place in Dublin. It's hard to, you can never leave Ireland out of our blood. And Prince Albert, as you probably know, is very Irish in his heart and very pro-Irish. And every time we get together, we can't finish the night without singing Athenry. And that
does the Prince sing the Fields of Athenry with you?
He's actually quite a good singer. He's much better than I am.
Wow, there you go.
After a few drinks, there's this feeling we're singing loud and proud, and we both think we're Elvis Presley. But I'm afraid the next day when we see it on the film or listen to it on the phone, we're proved wrong yet again. But it won't stop us the next time.
I was going to say, I'm never drinking again, and then tomorrow night singing the Fields of Athenry
again.
And Michael, you grew up in the south side of Chicago.
Yes.
Tough neighborhood?
Yes. Yeah, 75th and Ashland Avenue, the south side of Chicago, tough. My parents were Irish immigrants, so that they worked 7 days a week, but always we took the time off for Mass. And even when we were, just tiny little fellas, we had to wear a suit and tie and have our hair perfect to go in and be
So
in
you
front of God.
respected it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And did you believe as a young person growing up, was faith important to you personally, or was it just something that you did because your parents told you?
No, 100%. I believed in God, and even at the age of 4, I went to visit my grandmother in Drana St. Mullins, County Carlow, and she had incredible faith, and she would pray for, well, what seemed like hours. She would remember every saint and every person in her prayers, and she would take me for walks down the lane and explain to me our faith in Christ and what could happen with belief, and that stayed with me my whole life.
That was the foundation of your
Yes.
faith there from a young age. And your dad was a construction worker.
Yes.
You were working with him.
Yes.
That was difficult work, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. In Chicago, in those bitter cold Chicago winters, as a teenager and even after, I grew up swinging a sledgehammer, and it gave me a great physique, and it taught me hard work and discipline, and digging foundations and trenches. Sometimes we had to use the pick to get through the first few inches of the earth because it was frozen.
Wow.
And that's not fun for anyone who has not done it. But while I was doing that, in my heart, in my mind, I was on stage at Madison Square Garden in New York, or on stage at the Sydney Opera House. I had these dreams, never-ending dreams, and rhythms going through my head. Being a dancer, that was my dream, and it got me through those sometimes very arduous days.
And did you think, it's one thing to dream, but did you think then, okay, but this is my reality. How's a boy like me from the south of Chicago digging the ditches here and pulling out the dirt? I'm never going to end up on the stage anywhere.
Yeah, again, this is a great segue into my faith and trust and belief in Christ. I did believe in my heart that someday it would happen, and I refused to let go of that dream. I refused to believe that it couldn't happen. Now, I can promise you, Colm, my best friends, my family, even my parents, as the years went by, kept saying to me, Michael, it's time to
give up on this dream.
It's time to realize the truth of where we are in life. We have to be realistic about life, and you need to start thinking about business and about other things. And of course, they weren't wrong. But my resolve was steadfast, and my belief was like iron. And I kept, even after work, and my friends would be heading into the pub. And not that I didn't have with them many times, but I would head into that broken down dance studio and keep the legs going and keep the dream going and believe. And the more I visualized, the more sure I was that someday, somehow, God would send me the opportunity.
But you're talking about it, Michael, as if it was a spiritual calling, almost.
Well, it is. Why did he put that there, Colm? Of course it is. It's in my heart. I didn't put it there. You know, it comes from our Lord. It comes from God. It comes directly from God. If you follow your dreams, if you are willing to work hard for that dream, you can have anything in the world. Nothing is impossible, Colm. Nothing. And let every young person hear that now.
Everything changed in the 90s. We're going to go back to the scene of the crime now, Michael, to the Point Theatre in Dublin.
Sure.
And it was the night of the Eurovision Song Contest. Being in America, had you heard of the Eurovision before?
I didn't
even...
I had no idea, but...
You didn't know how big it was.
No, but there was a few quid in it. And
so you were said, I'm there.
And I was going to be able to dance. A quick build-up is all these years, working on construction. And then I became a boxer. And both of those, can be difficult professions. And
I want to ask you about that too, actually, Michael. But when you were a boxer and you were in the rough, tough neighborhood in the south of Chicago, did you ever worry, what are the guys going to think in the ring if they know I'm dancing at night? or the weekends I'm putting on my tap shoes. And did you worry about that, the macho attitude and how you might be perceived? Was that difficult?
You know, I don't think boxers couldn't care less what you do. There was much more difficult facing my mates at school.
Oh yeah, when you were getting the punches at school.
The next day, and what that they would say. And I got a lot of bullying growing up as a young man because I was a boxer. And then in high school, with the Christian Brothers School, it was the same. I got bullied a lot. But then one day, miraculously, they announced that we were going to have boxing matches at our school. And I got paired with the school's star athlete, the wrestling champion of America, a young man who's got muscles in places I don't even have places. and I was chosen to fight with him. And so it was a turning point in my life. I knocked him out in the second round.
So you got the respect.
And nobody ever bullied me again. And for many years since, he's just the nicest guy you could ever meet.
So when you would come in dancing in the school, he would clear the way and let you dance
well,
past.
I wouldn't be dancing, that's for sure. But yeah, they would have read about me sometimes. Every now and then an article would appear. I won the North American Championships or something, and it would sneak into the Chicago Tribune, and then all of a sudden, keep your head down and walk fast down the hallway at school.
Here comes Twinkle Toes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But I got offered shows as I went along, and one day I got a call from the manager of a group called the Chieftains, perhaps the most famous Irish traditional band of all time, and certainly the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest Irish band.
Great Irish band.
Yeah, and they asked me would I do one show with them. And I could come to Detroit, Michigan, and just give it a try. And I did. And halfway through their opening solo, I came flying on stage, and I danced, and the audience all stood up.
Experiencing that high on the stage, and the audience on their feet clapping, everyone looking at you.
For the first time.
Was that a turning point? You said, never again?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to go back.
I'm not going back to the construction work.
Exactly. I remember going back to this dressing room, and there was a broken mirror in there, and it reminded me of the broken mirror that I practiced in front of in this broken studio for all these years. And I was breathing heavy, looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, I'm not going back. I'm just not going back. And luckily, they took me on and said, we'd like you to dance for a few more tours, which led to an on and off relationship of about 10 years. And then somehow these producers from Ireland contacted me and said, we'd like you to do this Eurovision Song Contest. And I was so broke at the time, I couldn't pay attention. And
200 million viewers across the continent. And Michael said, what's the Eurovision? What the heck is this? Another gig, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. There was a few grand in it. So I said to them, listen, I'll have to check my diary. Yes, I'll be there.
I'll do it.
What date is it?
What was it like that night? Do you remember the feeling in the air, the atmosphere and the Point?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Point is such an iconic venue, isn't it, Colm? And there was just, I can't explain it, there was something in the air that night. There was just something in the air that night. And it was the first night ever that I was allowed to use my arms and my facial expression and my body and my acting and my passion. And I'd been honing those skills with the Chieftains for years because Paddy Maloney and Matt Malloy and the boys, they let me do whatever I wanted. And so they wanted me to go further. And the further I went, the more the audience stood up. Yeah, and it taught me. So by the time I got to Eurovision, that's what I've been doing every night.
But it was like you were bursting and ready to release this new act onto the world.
I'm telling you, Colm, I felt like a loaded gun. I was so, wound up and ready to go. But finally now I had a television audience. Finally now there was an opportunity for me to be able to prove that all of my years of believing, of swinging that sledgehammer, this was my chance. Because
up until then, Michael, I know myself being from Ireland and having gone to feshes with my sister over the years, very formulaic Irish dancing.
Yes.
Hands down by the side, the expression doesn't change that much except on cue, the wigs, the dresses. And here you are wanting to do something completely different.
Yes.
Look different.
Yes.
different facial expressions, like a performance.
Yes.
Is it true that just before you went and stood out on stage in front of that TV audience of 200 million, someone said, Michael, please keep the hands by the side. Don't flare them all over the place. You're going to make a fool of us.
You've done your research, Colm. Well done, you. Yes, it's true. They tried to tell me no. Do not move your arms around. We're getting too many calls from the purists, and we don't want to rock the boat here. So whatever happens, do not go waving your arms around. And I told them, listen, you hired me for the way I dance. You hired me because I dance this way. I'm not going to change now. This was my chance, Colm. I'd created something what I thought was beautiful and new and fresh. And as you said, growing up, I had to dance with my arms down and no facial expression. Well, I mean, wait a second. Irish people, the Irish, are full of passion and love and fight and anger and drink and laughter and songs and fun and devilment and determination. How come these people dance like this? Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Who made up this rule? And so I was determined, and I believe in many ways that's why God gave me the chance, even at 35 years old. That's the age I was when I flew on the stage that night. But the proudest word of my life is I said no. And I went flying on that stage. And the next morning we were headlines all over Europe. And of course, some of the people that had told me not to are the ones that it was all my idea.
We told Michael to do that, don't you know? Just before we went on, we said, Michael, put the arms up. Try that. Try something different. That was my idea now, Seamus, I'm telling you. It's a beautiful moment. I heard you mention before that after the crowd erupted in the point, when you finished Riverdance, you and the troupe on stage, people spellbound across the continent watching on television. You went backstage. You didn't pop a cork of champagne. You saw your mother there in tears and you blessed yourself.
That's true. Yes, absolutely.
Why did you do that?
Why would I not do that, Colm? God was the reason this all happened. I mean, hang on a second. Some guy from Chicago that does the jig, construction worker that's a boxer, all of a sudden gets a chance to dance in front of the whole European world and gets a standing ovation for 10 minutes. And my mother is in the hallway walking to the dressing room in the dark crying. The woman who loved me more than anything, loved me so much that she told me, please, it's time to give up that dream now and get a job. That woman who loved me that much was there. There is a God.
Wow.
There is a God.
Wow.
Yes.
Was that the moment your life changed forever?
Absolutely, yes. And I had the most fabulous team of dancers. I mean, they were just the greatest, and it broke my heart then when I had to leave the show, because I just loved them all. But only one of those dancers is still with me. My wife.
You got married to one of the dancers,
I
Niamh.
often say this, that the greatest thing that ever came out of Riverdance for me was marrying Niamh. Yeah.
Riverdance was such a cultural phenomenon.
Yes.
In those days, it was rock and roll artists and pop stars who were filling stadiums and auditoriums. And now people were paying to go see a dancer.
Yes.
Not a singer,
Yes.
but a dancer.
Well, it was hard. I don't mind telling you. When it was over and we got all this press, of course, I'm such a driven man, and I went barging into the offices of the producer saying, we have to make a show out of this, because I had it all here.
Yeah.
I'd spent all these years, on the work site, every day dreaming. In my head it was boom, boom, just this rhythm going through my head. I had all these dance numbers there, and for the longest time they would not. Don't be ridiculous. Nobody's going to pay to see an hour or two of this. Now, who's going to pay? There's no market for it, and da-da-da-da-da.
Lightning doesn't strike twice.
Yeah, listen, I kept saying, please, I've danced all over the world with the chieftains, from China to Canada, Mexico, America. I've seen how the people stand up. Imagine if I can put a row of those 30 dancers behind me and make a show of it. And, finally they capitulated. And they said, well, maybe we can do one little theatre. I said, no, you've got to go back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
They know it. There's an association there. We have to go there. Next thing, it took off like a rocket. Sadly, then I had to leave the show. They decided they didn't want a star in the show. And so I had to, again, go back to my faith and my belief.
Was that a very difficult time for you, Michael, when many people believe, most people agree, you made Riverdance what it was.
Yes.
You were the face of it, but behind the scenes you were creatively pushing it as well and coming up with the ideas, and then all of a sudden you were out.
Yes.
And was it London? You were in a hotel room in London, and the show, the new season of Riverdance was opening down the street.
That's right.
You're in the room and you're out.
Yeah, I was standing in my little place on the Fulham Road, watching the rain through the window after I got that phone call, devastated. And I was so angry. I remember kicking the table and throwing the chair across the room. I was furious. I hit the wall with my hands. I was just gutted. How could they do this? How could this be true? What did I do to deserve this? And of course you begin blaming yourself. You begin thinking of all the things, what could have, should have happened. And
was that your first experience of show business at its toughest form? You're the star one day, and then literally the night before you're kicked out.
Yes.
Michael, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I'm on top of the world.
And then?
And then it's going to open for the second time in London, and my posters are 100 feet tall with my picture on it. And I get fired the night before, and the posters come down, and I am out of the show. Now I'm sort of embarrassed to...
Even leave the house?
Yeah, tough old times, but, you've got to believe in yourself. And I remember my father's call. My father called me to check the night before that night to talk to me, and it was a devastating call. My father's a Sligo man, big, strong guy, and he has this great saying, the darkest hour is before the dawn. And he was the one, it really hurt me having to tell him, because I know that he was so proud that this had happened.
He'd be ashamed and embarrassed.
Yes, and he's such a kind man, and I had to explain it, and he doesn't talk a lot, my father, or he didn't, God rest his soul, but, he kept saying, Michael, you created Riverdance, you invented it, go off and build another one. Let them keep the money and take all the credit. Let them lie, let them do whatever they want. Michael, get up and do another one, that's the only way to prove to the world. And of course then I hit that wall, Colm, where, as you said, lightning doesn't strike twice. There's not room for two shows. And my friends telling me, no, go back and get your job back. Take way less money. Do whatever they want. And I couldn't do that. But again, it's like in C.S. Lewis, I had to believe what I was feeling in my heart.
Did you pray at that time? Did you turn to your faith?
Of course, yes.
You asked God for guidance or for what to do next?
Yes, my favorite habit in life is to thank God every time something happens. To thank God.
Even at your darkest time, when you've lost everything?
It was hard. I don't mind telling you, but I kept saying, God, I know you have a path for me. I know you have a path for me. And of course, the human side was saying, like, feck, you have a path. What happened? How could this happen? I'm the star.
Hate to break it to you, Michael, ain't no path.
Yeah,
that was the human side.
Exactly. Sorry for my language. And so I asked him for guidance, and I don't mind telling you, I went down to France and I went on a bit of a bender there for about a week or 10 days.
When you say a bender, you lost the head a bit, or you
went for
drinking?
Yeah. I just had to get away from Ireland and the Irish and the English press and the tabloids, and I was just being cut to ribbons. I couldn't face into my local restaurants or pubs, or I just couldn't face anybody. It was a devastating time.
You'd feel like a loser.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
I'd
right.
been fired. I was
Yeah.
on top of the world. Now I'm a nobody. My career is
Yes.
over. That's the human side of the...
Yes, and they were saying I was an ego monster in the press. And anybody who knows me, who's dealt with me, knows that in my opinion, it's the last thing I am. They confuse the guy dancing on stage with the real person, and that continued.
You beat the odds. You came back stronger than ever with Lord of the Dance,
Yeah.
Celtic Tiger, Feet of Flames.
Yep,
All huge successes across
God.
the globe.
thank God.
I remember reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you were earning something like £1.6 million
Yes,
a week.
yes,
A week.
I'm very blessed.
Your feet were insured for how much?
50 million,
50 million, the feet were insured.
yeah.
How does that change you as a person when you grew up poor in the south of Chicago, working with your dad, digging ditches, and all of a sudden you're bringing in 1.6 million a week?
Well, you have to understand now I've been grounded. God gave me a gift. God gave me the gift of humility there. When I was at my height in Riverdance, I was living in an ecstasy. Night after night, I was the star of the show, and it's the greatest fun you could ever have. And then I'm in Diggs Lane, renting a cheap little place, can't afford anything, and the group of new dancers, all world champions, expecting a paycheck every Friday, and every Thursday I'm pulling my hair out. How in the world am I going to pay them? And going in the morning into Diggs Lane, and the girl and I legging it up the stairs, and her saying, "Mr. Flatley, this week's rent, Mr. Flat, excuse me," and just trying to go by, and then I get home to my little room, and the note on the door, eviction, and me lying flat on the carpet outside of that room, thinking, please, just let me get a night's sleep here, Lord. Please, I'll find a way tomorrow, and all of these things.
So you really lost it all, Michael.
Oh,
It was
man,
gone.
yeah. And so when I finally did get to the top, it wasn't like, I'm Jack the Lad. It was like, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for what I have. Did I enjoy? Did I what? Did I
Because
what?
it must be hard to stay grounded, no matter your background and the great family upbringing and losing it all. But when you get that level of success and wealth, and you had the houses in different parts of the world, the money's coming in, you're dancing with these beautiful girls all over the world,
Yes.
and you're smiling now as I say that. Was it hard?
Can you blame me?
I can't blame you. But did you find it difficult to stay grounded and to keep that foundation in God? And
Well, let's discuss that. That's a great question, Colm. We're all human. We have to recognize that first. It takes a better man than me to ignore the beauty in front of my eyes. And it takes a better man than me not to feel great when I come on the stage in the end and 18,000 people stand up screaming my name. It's a euphoria, exultation. There's no really way to describe it other than, my dream came true. I drank it up. I ate it up. I enjoyed every second. I enjoyed every glass of wine, every kiss, every race in the car, every, seat on the private jet, every hotel suite, every single thing. I looked around and said, yes, yes, yes. I never gave in. Colm, if I'd have told you 1994, I was absolutely broke. But I had created in my mind something that the world had never seen, and it proved to be right. By 1997, I did the Oscars. By the end of 1997, I outsold all the big rock bands in the world, in the biggest arenas around the world. If I'd have told you then, in 94, that some guy from Chicago that does the jig and gets laughed at by his school chums is going to outsell the biggest rock bands, you'd still be laughing.
Yeah.
But I did it.
But you did it. Was it easy to hang on to your faith in those days?
Oh, God,
Michael?
yes, especially, yes.
Because, we hear people say the famous saying, there are no atheists in the trenches. When the going is bad,
Yeah.
everyone believes in God.
Yes.
And it's easy to call out to God for help.
Yes.
But when Michael Flatley is flying around the world in a private jet, and
Yes.
there's a hotel suite, the money's flying in,
Yes.
Lord of the Dance, you take on the role of Lord maybe yourself, and who needs God? The going's great.
Well, I suppose that's one way to look at it. But you have to understand, God blessed me in the beginning because I had a hard upbringing. God taught me the value of a pound. God taught me the value of a hard work and discipline. If you look back even at photographs of any of the homes that I had, you will always see a crucifix in the homes everywhere. You will also see those beautiful pictures of the Sacred Heart, because I wouldn't have them without that. I wouldn't have them. And there was a long time in my life, because things, even when you have the shows, that doesn't eradicate problems or difficulties. They're just different now.
Yeah. Money solves one
Yes.
problem in your life.
Yes.
But other worries are still there.
There are days, I'm sure, that have passed when I didn't say my prayers. But there was never a day when I didn't say, thank God.
2023. You received this devastating news. Is it a doctor or who tells you, Michael, you have aggressive cancer?
Yes.
What did they say to you?
And it was the second time I had cancer.
First one was a skin cancer.
Yes, a melanoma. They had to take several inches out of that side of my face. Yeah, it certainly was a shock. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting. And it obviously wasn't what I was hoping for. And it was a shock. Yeah, it was terrible.
What type of cancer was it?
I'd rather not say. Because it doesn't matter what type of cancer. Cancer is a brutal disease. And I remember they did the test, sitting down with the doctor. He analyzed everything, and he said, well, we can start on chemo and hope for the best, or we could just go in and operate. But if we do that, at the stage you're at right now and the speed it's moving, you'd have to come in and do it immediately.
Wow.
And so I had literally 10 seconds to say, yes, let's go in. Let's just do it, which we did.
I've heard you talk before powerfully, Michael, about lying on that hospital trolley.
Yes.
You're down on your back looking up as they're wheeling you in for the surgery. What's going through your mind at that stage?
Well, first question was, how did I get here? How did this happen? I don't know if you've ever been through anything like this, but when you're lying on that white trolley in a white walled corridor with a white ceiling, and it's always, for some reason, freezing cold in those bloody places, I just felt so all alone. And I was quickly reminded that I came into this world alone, and that I'll leave this world alone. But not, because God was with me when I got here. God has been with me every day since, and God will make the decision now. And if you choose to take me, Lord, I've no regrets. I've no regrets. You can take me. I remember, I don't think I ever told anybody this, but I said to the two nurses there, that saying that we used to say as kids, now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep, and if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And they held my hands. What was in my head was my wife and my son. What was in my head was my immediate family, my siblings. What was in my head was, have I made them proud?
Have I done enough for my family?
And have I done enough of the things that I said I would do, that I promised me, the little boy inside in me, the little boy that was there and still in there, inside, have I done enough? That's my biggest fear, Colm. That I'll be lying on my deathbed saying to myself, I wish I'd have just tried that. I wish I'd have just tried it. well, that'll never happen to me.
Isn't it funny how a moment ago you were talking about the hotel suites and the private jets and the great cars?
Yep.
But at that moment when you were facing death in a very real way,
Yep.
did you think of those cars? And
Not
those?
one.
Not once.
Nothing. No. Nothing.
When you thought of your family, did you think, I didn't do enough because I focused on work, I was always too busy touring, maybe I should have been there more? What were you thinking?
No, I didn't have time, Colm. I am an artist, so I'm very emotional. I began crying. What if this is the end and I don't come out? And so I was seeing their faces, hugging them from my heart, that they would feel it, and feeling what pain I might inflict on them if I don't come out. I'm so in love with my wife and my son. It's my everything.
Not angry at God in any way?
Never. He makes all the decisions. When God rings the bell, I will gladly answer.
You didn't think, God, come on, I worked hard and I've always kept the faith.
No.
In the good times and the bad times, now here I am lying in this trolley with cancer. Why do I deserve this?
Colm, I wake up in the morning and I read from my novena of surrender. I surrender my day to the Lord, today, tomorrow, and every day for the rest of my life. You can't say, oh, except this one. You can't do that. If you believe and you have faith, you have to have ultimate faith. And if he says, I'm sorry, son, you had your chance, time's up, and you have to do that. I get into the water, into the sea every day. Here in Monaco, they look down from the boardwalk in their fur coats and say, that's crazy Irishman swimming in the water.
Dancing across the beach towards the water.
And I'm deep in my thoughts, but that's the good time to thank God for everything. As soon as I put my head under, I feel closer to God, and I thank God and for everything I have, and everything I ever did have, and everything I ever will have.
Michael, how is your health today? How are you feeling?
I feel great. I'm still here.
You're still here and you're smiling.
Yeah, listen, I still have health issues, but I'm not going to complain about it. Dance has taken its toll on my body. My spinal column is in bits. My C1, my C3, my T3, my L5, my sacroiliacs. I've got a broken bone on my right foot, 2 fractured ribs. Other than that, I feel great.
You've got pains in places I don't even have places.
But what it does again, I thank God for it. Colm, I've made friends with pain.
And from God, that attitude, I like it. You take the good and you take the bad as well.
Damn straight.
All part of living. Finally, what's Santa bringing Michael Flatley this Christmas?
Oh, this interview. This was it. I just had my Prezi.
Hey, it was great chatting to you, Michael Flatley. Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you so much.
And God bless you and all of the people that are listening and watching.